Hello, welcome to McBoss Capital channel. My name is Michael Chu. Today we are recapping the market at week ending November 29, 2024 after the Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Very short week because there's no trading on Thursday and Friday was half a day. So not too much volume for sure. You can see the volume bar is pretty low on the Nasdaq here. This is the weekly chart and we are on the 12 weeks up. We haven't made a new high yet on Nasdaq, but we'll see shortly if S&P and Dow did. So we're still on this uptrend. We found support here on the 10-week moving average. So let's go into the daily chart. So here we have the pullback, and then slowly it bounced back. But in general, Nasdaq is not the strongest performer. You can see the relative strength is kind of flat. So here's the S&P 500. You can see how it made new high and it closed near high on this week, and very slightly, but nonetheless 6,032 right now, and the previous high was 6,017. So the market is setting up nicely on this uptrend as well. On Dow is definitely a lot stronger. You can see how it make new high, like pretty clear of the previous high. We are very close to 45,000. I think we did hit on intraday 45,071. So right now it closed at 44,910. But yeah, this is very strong, surprisingly, the Dow Jones Industrial. So for Russell, it also made a new high. You can see here pretty clear of the previous high right there. This one also found support at the 10-week moving average. On the daily chart is not as close to the 50 days right here. So it found support right here, and then it bounced. Notice how it been pretty stable near this level. It didn't come back to the 10-day, which is very unusual given its choppiness in the past, right? So it always tend to come back to 10-day quite a bit. You can see all those 10 days here, 10 days. So right now we are seeing lots of strength in this group, the smaller caps. So here's the S&P mid cap, and again also this one make new high, also very strong. You can see very similar to the small cap chart. On the daily, again also similar to small cap. Look at how it came up to new highs and it just holds near that, close to that level, and it hasn't come back down to close to the 10-day moving average, which is a very healthy sign. So there might be more room to grow here. So this is RSP, the equal weight S&P 500, also making a new high right here. So Friday it closed on the daily chart. You can see it slightly closed at a new high as well. So this is good because that means there's more breadth in more stocks in the market. The equal weight Nasdaq 100 also make a new high, also signifying more breadth in the stocks for that index. And this one found support here on the 10-day, slight bounce here. So this one is not as strong as RSP because it didn't make a new high on Friday. So we'll see how this turns out. This is from the IB newspaper. This is the S&P 500 index right here at the top. Down here we have the advanced decline line in the NYSE, and notice how this is making new high on Friday as well. Very slight high, but it did make a new high. So the market breadth is continuing to grow. So 1,480 stocks up versus almost 800 stocks down on Friday. For Nasdaq, it's coming back up. Recently, it made a new low, which wasn't a good thing, but then it did bounce back, and so far it has make a new high on Friday too, compared to this point right here. So we'll see if it can continue and improve. So this is the Nasdaq. So some news on Monday earlier in the week that pushed the market higher was President-elect Donald Trump nominate hedge fund investor Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary. So basically a lot of people think that he is more capable of carrying out Trump's economic agenda and can help reduce the federal deficit. So with that news, it actually helped push the 10-year yield down quite a bit. You can see it drop below the 10-day moving average decisively on that day, on Monday. And so this is probably what helps the market in general as well. Um, so this is good news. And now it's even below this long-term moving average right here, which is the 200-day. So that's also another interesting sign. And we're now coming close to this red line, which is the 50-day moving average. So we'll see if it bounces here and what it does around this area, but it's now closer to like 4.2%. And so that news actually helped the home builders this week. And we also see that bounce here, right here on Monday. This is the home builders index. And it's a nice early entry point. It did find support after the move here. Hasn't come back to the 10-day line. So it might be a possible entry point near this area. Or if you want to wait for the traditional buy point, it will be closer to this high right here. The utilities group also has a good showing this week. Look at how it came out on this traditional buy point, and look at how tight it's trading after it breaks out. So this is quite interesting. Utilities breaking out as well. So we'll see. It is above the 10-day moving average quite a bit. So I'm not sure if it will pull back. But yeah, but so far it looks pretty healthy. So we are heading into December, and according to the Stock Traders Almanac, December is one of the top 3 months of the year. It climbed on average 1.6% since 1950, and S&P also. So this is for Dow and Nasdaq. S&P is also up 1.5% on average. So here we had some economic data come out. The core CPE, the Fed favorites inflation gauge. This is from IBD newspaper. It has stopped cooling on a year-over-year basis. So it did climb a little bit higher this time, 2.8%. Jobless claims are the lowest since April, so it is continued to come down. So that's a good sign for the labor market. Durable good orders, excluding transportation, are rising gradually, so only 0.1%. In December, on the 18th, we will have another Fed meeting decision. Right now, it's showing a quarter point cut, a 0.25% cut in December at 66% versus holding the current rate 450. So that's still pretty good chance of getting rate cut. So the market could be continue this bullish tone to that time and see what happens. So after the previous week's strong gains for oil, it did fall back down this week, and you can see it stayed under the moving average this whole week. I think it closed at $68 on the WTI. So yeah, so it's not the strongest for oil this week, and that also correlates to pretty much the US dollar as well. You can see it also fell this week. So yeah, very correlated. And this one's below 10-day now, and it's coming to the 21-day. We'll see if it bounces here or not, but right now, yeah, it is coming back down a little bit. We will continue looking at some of the ETFs here. The spider technology sector, not doing as well, right? You can see it's just kind of hovering around the 10-day, 21-day. It finds support at the 50-day moving average. So yeah, it's not doing too much. So this is XLK. On the retail, this one looks a lot better. It did come out pretty strong last week and this week, early this week. So retail is doing quite good. And look at how well it holds up so far, and look at where the 10-day moving average is. Look at the consumer discretionary. This one also making new highs. Again, there's lots of like some travel stocks that I look at. Delta holding pretty tight after this run right here. It's right now just holding tight. Not doing anything wrong. It's just kind of going sideways. We'll see if it will continue its move or whether it will break down. We'll see. Another stock, RCL, this one's still moving higher, so looking pretty good. Again, industrials, this one also make a new closing highs, just like the general Dow Industrial. But two stocks that I own got trapped. VRT here. Now, these two are probably more tech related than industrial related right now, just because they do follow the trend of the semiconductor group usually. But right now, it finally broke the 10-day moving average. Volume was, it did come in on a few days here, near average and above average. So at this moment, I'm out of this stock. The trend line, slope line going down is quite steep, and especially Friday, we saw a reversal as well. So that's not a good sign. Another stock that very similar, CLS, Celestica. Again, this one also came out pretty good. Now it's starting to fall below the 10-day. Now this one did try to climb back on Friday. We'll see how it reacts here. But again, the slope line is very steep right now. For this week, surprisingly, the healthcare has started to rebound. They have corrected quite a bit. Look at this correction right here. At least for now, it looks really good. It has bounced 6 days in a row, and definitely is picking up some steam here. And it could come out right here. This would be probably a nice trend line breakout right here, or if you want to wait for the 50 days right here. But yeah, might be a good time to pay attention to healthcare related stocks. One stock I'm looking at is ISRG. It found support here, very tight trading, and then Friday it kind of came back above the 10-day. So we'll see. Again, Friday is not a day to use that as a gauge for volume, because it's only half a day of trading. We'll see how next week how the stock do. So as we saw earlier with the US oil price dropping, the energy stocks also took a tumble. Now, with that being said, it's still above the green line, which is the 10-day moving average. And we have a strong run right here. Like, this is a very strong run. And so to give back just this much and holding the 10-day, this is very impressive. So I would, continue to pay attention to some energy stocks. If the oil price bounce back, or if this can hold, probably it will continue to go up. So there's no doubt since the Trump election, it definitely financial has shown probably the most strength, and it continues to do so. And on the index itself, you can see how it just holds so tight right here after this big gain. And then now it bounced on the 10-day moving average, and now it has climbed up even higher. And look at it again. Look at what it's doing. It's just sitting there at near the highs, not coming back down to the 10-day. Very impressive, technically. And on the stock side, there's a lot of stocks moving higher. So we will be doing another video on more growth stocks. So make sure you follow that one. So we'll look at this spreadsheet here. The IBD trend is still confirmed uptrend. Pretty much this is like the maximum 80 to 100% allocation. Stocks gain end month and week higher. You can see the stocks accumulation are very strong this week. Even though it was a shortened week, you can see like 600, 400 stocks are being accumulated this week on my list of watch list. And only like 70 to 100 something has been distributed. On the industry group side, same thing. Where is lots of industry groups being accumulated, 90 to 120. And then here on the distribution side, you see like much less numbers compared to those. So on the sector side, technology, it weakens on Wednesday. Again, Wednesday was a little bit of a sell-off day. But it did bounce back by Friday, and then retail really strong consistently throughout the week. Then we have industrial also dropped on Wednesday, but came back a little bit on Friday. Health continued to gain strength over the whole week. in terms of accumulation. And energy is kind of on the low end side, but it did kind of see some bounce on Friday. And on the financial side, it pretty much ranges from also very strong 90 to 120. So financials look like it's the most healthiest, then retails, then you have technology and health, and then you have industrial, and then you have commodities and energy. So this is the IBD 50 ETF. Look at how strong this week is. Like it's continued to go higher, make new highs. Look at that. And look at how nice this 10-day moving average is just sitting, you know, below it. And so far it hasn't want to come down to it. And again, we have this nice long base on base pattern, breaks out, pulls back one more time, hit the 10-21 day support line, and then bounce. This is a very nice chart. Very healthy for growth stocks right now, and so we might see a longer move here, which is good news for growth investors. Now, generally, when growth stocks move, the ARK funds also do well. So here we see ARK Innovation ETF also break out, very similar pattern, pulls back after it breaks out, and then now trying to move higher. Very similar chart to IB50 ETF. So this is the ARK Genomic ETF, Revolution ETF. This one hasn't done well for a long time, but it's worth watching because it made a pretty big move this week, 9%, and it's just sitting near the, this trend line and this black line, which is the 200-day. Now, if it does move above, we could have a, new trend here. So on the daily chart, it did try once, but it did fail. It came back down pretty hard actually. Look at that. So it probably triggered all the stops here. It went even lower than the previous lows here. So this will trip out a lot of people, and now it came back so fast. So this is definitely more volatile. So we'll see if it works the second time. It definitely will be even stronger conviction once it passes this previous high. But again, very volatile area. So let's look at some of the tech areas. SMH. This pattern looks pretty good originally, but now it's starting to look a little bit weaker. It keep making new lows. So, and the handle is getting longer and longer, which is usually not a healthy sign. Again, making new lows is probably the bigger problem right here. But it did close near the top of the range. It is under excuse me, the red line, which is the 50-day moving average here. And so you can see this downtrend right here. So it's possible it come back up and even come back above a 50-day, but this is becoming a problem. So we'll have to be more patient. I'm just looking at the volume here. So this one's on a bounce, so maybe that's okay. But in general, the even on Friday, the volume came in quite a bit on a half day, which is interesting. So that was the bounce on Friday, so that may be a good sign as well. So on Thursday and Friday, we see more volume comes in on the bounce, so might be a good thing. We'll see. Let's look at Nvidia. So right now, Nvidia is kind of just trying to hold on as well near the 50-day. It did went below it on Wednesday, but then it kind of closed near that line. Then on Friday, come back a little bit more. So we'll see what happens. But so far, you can see the relative strength is just weaker or near flat right now. On the weekly chart, it's still looking pretty good. We have this base. We broke out, but we came back in. Now we see here clearly support at the red line. But the problem here is the volume has been decreasing as near the higher end here, right? So that could be a problem. So TSM also on a downtrend after like 4, 5, 6 weeks now. In previous, I mentioned I tried a couple of times, it just didn't work on this one. And yeah, it's just the downtrend line right now looks like this. Arm similar. So you have this cup here, and then the handle here. It broke up, but it fell, and then it came back much deeper. And now this is like pretty much a whole new pattern now. And it found resistance here on this week at the 10-week moving average, which is not a good sign. So we'll see what happens here. So A-Lab is one of the few chip stocks that are doing good still. But this week I got stop out of this stock on Wednesday at near the 10-day. This stock is more volatile, so it's easy for it to trip the 10-day if you put the stop near it. It did rebound on Friday, so we'll see. The volume was near average, so not too bad. Overall, the previous week's volume was much higher, so maybe this will have more room to bounce. We'll see. But this stock has been an outlier for the chip stocks area, so still doing really well on the fundamental side. Last sector area we'll look at is the IGV software group, and this one you can see it's very powerful. It has climbed in the last many weeks here. Now we are more than close to 20% from this pivot here in 12 weeks. So on the daily chart, this also pulled back this week. So we'll see if we can find support. Whenever a stock index pull back, I like to draw a trend line around 40-45 degree angle, or upon the first bounce on the high side versus the top, and draw that trend line. And you could easily set this as an alert here and see if it can bounce back above that line. The worst case scenario right now would be to trip this 10-day moving average and then just keep going down, right? Let's start with some of the big cap techs here. We have Microsoft, very boring right now, not doing much, a pendant type of formation, doesn't know where it wants to go, just stuck in this formation right now. It could easily go one way or the other, so we'll just have to watch this. It's not doing so well. You can see here it hasn't really found much strength since the week it fell hard last week. It did bounce back a little bit, but to me this is a very weak bounce because it's just holding on to the 10-day, the red line, which is the 50-day moving average. But you know, if it does cross this trend line here, that might be a better sign. Here we have Meta. It's starting to bounce a little bit, very tight trading, so that's a good sign, because it's not only tight trading, but it's slowly moving higher highs and higher lows. The volume selling has been very low, so that's also another good sign here on the red bars. So there might be a potential that this base is getting more mature here, and it could continue to break out. We'll see. Amazon also doing well right now. It has fallen, which tripped me out right here. Now it's starting to bounce back, and the volume is a little bit above average, so that's a good sign. And on the selling day, not much volume at all, so that's a good sign. For Apple, this is doing a lot better compared to other mega caps. Look at, we are near new highs. Look at this. So don't know if this has anything to do with like holidays, Black Friday, so forth, but we're seeing some volume here as well. That's interesting. There might be some news, but so far it has gone higher and not come back down to 10-day, so it's showing like relative strength. Look at this relative strength. It's pretty strong right now. Tesla, look at this pullback, bounce off it, and pulls back again to the green line and bounce off it again. Now the volume is obviously low on Friday, but the selling volume is decent here. So we have this nice rise on really strong volume that week, and then the following week we have more volume here, and then this week we have much lower volume on the sell side. So this all works out pretty well on this chart, and again, finding support at the 10-day so far shows strength as well. Finally, we have Netflix. This one, it did pull back recently. I had to buy it back after it tripped my 10-day moving average stop there. On Friday, it has a nice bounce. We'll see if volume comes in. It's very low on the volume side. Again, we have this 1 day sell off here after such a tremendous run. Looking at the weekly chart, this is looking really strong right now. Look at this angle of this slope of the 10-week moving average, and look at how this week it reacted by bouncing off from the lows and closing near the top of the range. So it seems like it wants to go higher. That's what it's telling me right now. And this slope line could continue to curve more wider, like into a stronger angle. So yeah. And December, I think there's lots of hype about some shows come out and stuff. So it's possible they may gain more publicity and news and stuff. So we'll follow this. So thank you for watching this video. We'll do another video on growth stocks on my list to watch. So thank you. Please like and subscribe.